And now in the first Beyond the Classroom of 2022, our Jasmine King takes a look at a new website designed for Holy Rosary students to help them with their scholarships.
Now that we're halfway through the school year, grade 12 students have begun their search for post-secondaries and scholarships. And to make the search for scholarships easier, a new website has been launched for Holy Rosary students to shorten the process.
If they use it to their full advantage, then it should give them an advantage that they have a calendar there with it all planned out for them. It gives them the scholarships according to categories, so they can see what would apply to them and maybe what doesn't apply to them. And then it lays out all the information that they need to apply for scholarships.
For grade 12 students like Raquel Lamoth, who has already been accepted to the University of Saskatchewan, now is the time to submit scholarship applications. A lot of students aren't quite sure where to find this information, and this new website makes it a lot easier.
I found it really informing, As a procrastinator that says the due date is the due date, when I look at the website, I'm like, maybe I'll actually do it beforehand. So when it's due, I'm already done and I can just relax and wait for the scholarship. And then I might be like, oh, did I get the scholarship? But then I just go to Mrs. Lovely Oreo and she will inform me on the steps and procedures to check if I got the scholarship or not.
With COVID-19, high schools aren't able to have the big college fairs they had in the past and visit the post-secondaries, so many universities have been making online content to share with potential students. This website helps share those videos and more post-secondary information. It also gives parents the chance to help their child with the scholarship process.
I think in the past it's been up to the students to come and get the papers or check for emails maybe that are coming through, but with this now, as long as parents know about it, they can go and check it out and kind of help their son or daughter through the process. I think it's a big process and sometimes they need some encouragement to work their way through it.
The website can be found through Holy Rosary's social medias, and that's it for this week's Beyond the Classroom. Jasmine King, Primetime Local News.
At Lakeland College, our students are challenged to go beyond the classroom, so when industry knocks, they're ready to thrive. Learn more at lakelandcollege.ca.
And with our weather conditions reaching -40 with the wind chill, our Shelby Clark gets an important reminder for all the furry loved ones out there.
Joining us here today for Primetime Local News is Dr. Becky Newman from the Lloydminster Animal Hospital, a veterinarian, and we are speaking on some well-needed pet safety during these current conditions outside. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
With the wind chill, it's feeling over -40 outside and across the region. We do have an extreme cold warning in effect. And starting off, would you advise residents to even take their pets for walks right now outside?
I think a lot of that depends upon your individual dog and what they are accustomed to. Of course, we have dogs in this area that do spend all their time outside. So, they may have a thicker hair coat and be more adjusted to these conditions. But for your average house dog that spends most of their time inside, they don't have a lot of a thick winter hair coat. I mean, they tolerate the cold about the same as we do. If it's too cold for you, it's too cold for them to be outside for too long. So, short little trips out to go to the bathroom, stretch their legs for a couple of minutes. And as soon as you start to notice that they're lifting those feet and acting like their paws are cold, it's time to head back inside.
And for those pets that even struggle to take those little trips outside to use the washroom and whatnot, would you suggest them getting some little booties for their paws?
Oh yeah, for sure. Dress them up in the winter if they'll tolerate it. Some pets just don't like having clothes and boots on, but if they'll tolerate it, for sure, a sweater or a little coat, booties that you can put on their feet. I had a client in just this morning telling me that once her dog realizes with the booties on that she can stay outside a bit longer, she tolerates them really well. It does maybe just take a bit of training to get them to want to wear them.
Now, moving on to the worst of it when it comes to this cold weather, what are some of the symptoms that people can look out for when it comes to frostbite with their pets?
Yeah, so frostbite can be a little bit tricky because it doesn't always show up right away. Sometimes people don't recognize the symptoms for a few days. So when an animal first comes in from outside with frostbite, as they start to thaw as the tissue starts to thaw out, it actually becomes red and hot and swollen, and it can be quite painful in that sudden stages when it's thawing out and quite swollen like that. It's not until sometimes a few days later that you start to see the discoloration to more of a bluish gray color like that, or you'll start to see a line of healthy tissue and tissue that is dying, and then that dying tissue will start to shrivel and can eventually fall off. And of course, the areas we see affected the most are the extremities, so the ears, the tails, the feet, things like that, because of course they're just farther away from the heart. They don't have as good a blood flow. And, there are times when we end up having to amputate because of these injuries. Sometimes, tips of ears will fall off on their own. Tails are one that we commonly have to help along amputating. And yeah, so when you find your pet and they've been outside for a while and you're worried about frostbite, you want to warm them up gradually. Warm, dry blankets, things like that, that you can wrap your pet in to warm them up. You can use warm water to kind of thaw out those frozen tissues. And then, of course, you just want to dry them really well after, make sure they're inside. You don't want to get anything wet outside, but once they're inside and you're able to gradually warm them and dry them off like that. And then it is important to, if you think it is frostbite, to seek some veterinary care because it can be really painful. Like I say, those first few days when they're hot and swollen, red and painful. So often we're looking at pain medications, potentially antibiotics to prevent bacterial infections, and like I say, potentially amputation down the road, depending upon the degree of frostbite.
And in your experience, when it comes to previous incidents with pet owners during these winter months, what else would you suggest for some safety tips for people with pets other than, of course, frostbite?
Yeah, for sure. So a few things on top of just frostbite. When you're walking your pets outside in the winter, we use a lot of salt on our sidewalks and roads, and it's important to check your pets' pads of their feet. If they've walked through a lot of salt, there are more pet-friendly salts, but if you're not sure the kind of salt they walk through, just to wipe their pads clean. Look for any cracks or anything in their pads. Of course, that's another important thing. Um, I think a few cold weather tips for some of our pets who are outside a lot more, because of course we do have, quite a population of stray cats within Lloydminster, and even a lot of, farms that have outdoor cats. They're always looking for a warm place. So I think a good thing to remember is if you have pets like that in your area, when you get into your vehicle, honk your car horn, make some noise, try and startle them out of your engine if that's the warm place that they may have found. Um, there are some organizations within Lloyd, they're quite active on Facebook that can help you to build a cat house out of some fairly simple materials and straw that you can provide a warm place for cats that you don't think have a place to go. Providing more food, providing water, like heated water bowls or some place that, outdoor pets can have access to water that's not frozen. And just, really providing shelter for pets that do live outdoors for sure.
Perfect. Well, once again, thanks again so much for giving us your time today. Again, Dr. Becky Newman.
Yeah, you're very welcome. To stay warm, everybody.
And now Shelby Clark has a look at our weather forecast.
So much, JCS. Now taking a first look at your weather forecast. Hopefully all you pet owners out there are trying to keep your pets warm, getting those little booties and like little jackets on there. I know my dog personally does, and she loves them, and she's nice and warm outside when she has to use the washroom out there. But we are sitting at -33 right now here in the border city with a lot more cloud coverage. We have cooled down quite a bit. We will be cooling down more tomorrow, so get ready for that. And with that wind chill, we are at -44 degrees. So hopefully everybody is bundled up and staying warm. Switching over to temperatures across the region for Alberta and Saskatchewan. On the Alberta side, most spots are seeing past -30 right now. Most are seeing -30 degrees, while it's -32 in St. Paul and Provost, -34 in Vermilion, while Wainwright is hitting that -35 point, and Edmonton is sitting at -28, while Moraine is at -33. Switching over to the Saskatchewan side here, they're seeing some past -30 points as well, so we definitely have cooled down across the region. -30 in most spots on the map, -31 in Meadow Lake and North Battleford, -32 in St. Walburg and Macklin, while Maidstone Stone is the coolest at minus 33. And for North Battleford overnight, they will be going down to a low of minus 40. With that wind chill, they will be feeling close to minus 50. So we are seeing dangerously cold temperatures throughout the night. If you are outside, there is frostbite within minutes, so there is an extreme cold warning in effect. Tomorrow, they will be cooling down to minus 33 with a little bit more sun peeking behind those clouds, but I'm sure the sun won't really help warm things up too much. Switching over to Cold Lake, they'll be going down to a low of minus 42. So with that wind chill, they will be feeling close to minus 50 as well. Tomorrow, they will be cooling down to minus 32 with a mix of some sun and cloud. And for here in the border city, we'll be going down to a low of minus 40. With that wind chill, will feel close to minus 50 as well. We will be cooling down, seeing our coolest with minus 33 tomorrow for our Thursday, seeing a mix of some sun and clouds. So please make sure you are staying safe out there. And now switching over to some of your photo submissions. Thank you to everyone that submitted online. You can throughout the week, and I will use them. Thank you to Diane here. We're showing off some of the snowfall we've gotten throughout the week and through the holidays. So thank you to whoever submitted online. This photo is crazy seeing how high the snow really got, and hopefully everybody's getting out there and being able to shovel when you can. But once again, thank you to everyone, and that's all I got. We'll have more coming up after the break.
The Lloydminster Bobcats will return home for the first time in the new year, and with it, they'll be bringing a 2-game win streak. Evan Kenny has the latest.
Start the new year, the Lloydminster Bobcats sit 2 games above 500 thanks to back-to-back wins. The team has dropped just 2 of their last 8 contests, outscoring opponents 32-22.
Well, I think for us, it's just a matter of playing with energy and playing with the emotion. And when we do that, we're a whole different hockey team. And when we're playing with that high intensity and high energy, it's fun to play, and guys feed off that.
The Cats will look to continue that intensity as they host the Sherwood Park Crusaders. Lloyd leads the season series 4-1.
Well, I thought for us, we came out with a ton of energy, and we completely dominated the first period. I think we shot them 18-3 and did a lot of good things. The big part, when we can score and score early, I think that helps our team, just the feel for the game.
Looking at the AJHL North standings, Dubé says each game is a must-win for the team.
So every game is just big. Our guys are aware of that. We have to be ready to go. We know that on the flip side of the coin is they're going to have the same mentality, right? It's a crawl to get to the top, and you got to be ready to go.
What a save, Colby Thornton!
Following the matchup against the Crusaders, the Bobcats will play back-to-back games in Whitecourt this weekend and return home next Wednesday. Evan Kenny, Primetime Local Sports.
And now Shelby Clark has a look at some of the conditions around our region.
Thanks so much, Jason. Now taking another look at your weather forecast. We'll be starting off the central region of Alberta and Saskatchewan here. On the Alberta side, we've cooled down quite a bit. Most seeing minus 28 degrees right now. It is minus 25 in Edson and Jasper, while it's minus 26, minus 27. Rocky Mountain House and Red Deer and Athabasca is the coolest, seeing that minus 31 mark. Switching over to the Saskatchewan side here, they're seeing some slightly cooler conditions, even reaching past that minus 30 point. Minus 32 in Melfort and Meadow Lake, while it is minus 31 in Prince Albert, North Battleford. Saskatoon is the coolest as well, sitting at minus 33, and Cold Lake is just hitting that minus 30 mark. Now switching over to our northern region of the provinces, they are seeing around the same temperatures as what we are seeing in the central region. Compared to yesterday, they were looking a lot cooler. Right now, Uranium City is sitting at minus 35, so Uranium City is seeing the coldest temperature yet. Minus 33 in Stony Rapids, while it is minus 29 in Wilson Lake and South End, minus 28 in Flin Flon, while the rest are seeing minus 30, minus 31. Switching over to this side here, usually down in this area here, they see some slightly warmer temperatures, but as we are more into the winter season, they have cooled down quite a bit as well. Minus 30 in Slave Lake, while it's minus 31 in Peace River. Grand Prairie and Fort McMurray are both at minus 29, while High Level and Fort Chipewyan are the coolest at minus 33, minus 34. But as we switch over to our southern region, they have cooled down quite a bit as well, but they are just seeing those minus 20 range here in most spots on the map. Banff is the warmest, sitting at minus 22. Coronation has reached past there at minus 32, while the rest are seeing around minus 25 to minus 27 27 degrees. Switching over to this side here, they're seeing cooler compared to what the Alberta side is seeing for our southern region. Most are seeing a minus 30, while Moose Jaw is at minus 31, and the rest are seeing minus 32 degrees. But as we go back across the region to temperatures overnight tonight, we are cooling down quite a bit. As you can see, we're even reaching those minus 40 points for our lows, even without that wind chill. So please make sure, if you have a vehicle, make sure you're plugging them in. You are bundling up if you're going to be outside whatsoever, but try to stay inside as much as possible if you can. It will be a low of minus 38 degrees for Provost, a low of minus 35 for Isla Crosse, a low of minus 39 for Meadow Lake, while the rest will be reaching past that minus 40 point with a low of minus 40 for Unity. Wainwright will be seeing a low of minus 41, and the rest will be seeing a low of minus 42. Now switching over to temperatures tomorrow across the region, we will be seeing our coolest day yet for the week, ranging from around minus 31 to minus 33 in most spots across the map here. And now ending off with our 7-day forecast for here in the border city, we'll be seeing our coolest with minus 33 on Thursday. Friday, we'll be seeing a high percentage of some snowfall once again, unfortunately, so get ready. We'll be seeing minus 25 to start off the weekend. We'll be seeing a cooler weekend as well, but for next week, as you can see with those temperatures, we are supposed to be warming up, starting off on Monday with minus 14, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll even hopefully be seeing those single-digit temperatures unless the weather switches up on us, with minus 6 on Tuesday and minus 4 next Wednesday. That's another look at your weather forecast. We'll have more coming up after the break.
Today with Heather Anderson from SGI. Now, SGI this month for their traffic safety spotlight are focusing on intersection safety. Heather, first of all, why this time of year is it so important for drivers to be mindful when they're in intersections to make sure they're not getting into collisions?
So like you said, January's traffic safety spotlight is on intersection safety, and it's especially crucial to really put your best wheel forward in the winter months. That's when intersections are very slippery, and we saw that in the last week here in Saskatchewan with those ice-covered roads. So slowing down, leaving adequate following distance, knowing the rules of the road, all of these things can help you prevent a collision, especially in the winter.
Now, in the news release that SGI put out, there were a few of the kind of leading causes of collisions at intersections. So I was kind of going to go through some of them and get you to give some tips on what people should try and do to avoid getting into dangerous situations in intersections. So the first one was a failure to yield.
Yes, so failure to yield is one of the common causes of collisions at intersections. And a good way to know what kind of intersection you're approaching is really understanding and knowing the rules of the road. So there are so many different types of intersections, whether it be uncontrolled, controlled, a four-way stop, a T intersection, an intersection with lights. The best way to prevent a collision at those types of intersections and knowing is really understanding and knowing the rules of the road. So once you have a better idea of what's happening at each intersection and how to approach them safely, you'll prevent getting in a crash.
Now, another leading cause of collisions is drivers just not paying attention.
Yeah, unfortunately, we see this a lot. So it's so important for drivers to stay alert. As you approach an intersection, pay attention to what's going on around you. What are other road users doing? And what are the traffic signs and signals telling you to do? What you need to do is watch for pedestrians crossing. Are vehicles slowing down? Are they stopped? Are they proceeding through the intersection? Make sure you're very aware of the surroundings as you approach that intersection. Also, keep an eye on the lights. What's happening with them? Are the pedestrian crosswalk lights on? What do those signals tell you that will indicate what's going to happen to the light in front of you? That way you can prevent running a yellow light or a red light and just making sure you're proceeding through that intersection safely.
So this next one is something that kind of builds on what we were talking before with, how snowy and icy the roads are, but it's just the road conditions.
Yes, road conditions can be so icy this time of year, and that can be treacherous when it comes to navigating intersections. So make sure you slow down when conditions aren't ideal. That's really the number one factor here. By reducing your speed, you'll have better control of your vehicle, and you'll also have more time to stop. So scan the road for traction. What kind of road are you driving on? Is it slippery? Is it coated in ice? Is there sand down? What kind of traction are you going to get? And once you've determined that, you can really drive in the lane that has the most traction and that will allow you to stop more easily. Also, I'd like to note that winter tires are especially crucial this time of year. They can really help you get maximum control of your vehicle.
And something that builds off of that too is that people that are following other vehicles a little too closely.
Yes, so leave a 5 to 6 second following distance, especially in the winter. This, along with driving at an appropriate speed, will really ensure that both you and your vehicle have enough time to anticipate what's happening in front of you and give you enough time to stop and react to what other drivers are doing on the roadway. So make sure there's that gap between you and the vehicle in front of you. And if possible, make sure that there's that gap between you and the vehicle behind you as well. That's a great way to prevent collisions and make sure you get to your destination safely.
Now, you brought up winter tires as a great tool that drivers can have to help be a little safer when they're driving on the road in the winter time. What else can people do to help make sure that they're driving better in the winter?
Yeah, so stay alert as you approach intersections. Like I said, scan the road for traction. Is there sand or is there bare pavement? And then really accelerate and slow down slowly. Do it all gradually while you're on the road, just to make sure that you can get maximum control of your vehicle. Also, give yourself more time to arrive at your destination safely. In the winter, it's going to take you longer to arrive at your destination than it would in the summer months. So just factor in that extra time before you leave the house. And if you are running late, perhaps running late is better than getting in a collision. So take that extra time if you need it. Arrive at your destination safely. That's the number one thing. And then slow down. It's really as simple as that. By reducing your speed, you will have better control of your vehicle. As well, at intersections with traffic lights, anticipate that light change and know the rules of the road. Like I said, there's a lot of different intersections to navigate, and especially in the winter months, it's even more important to understand what kind of intersection you're approaching and entering so that you can do so safely.
Now, across the prairies, we're dealing with another deep freeze right now. So if people are unfortunate enough to get into a collision, what kind of stuff should they have with them in their vehicle to help make sure that they're, being able to stay warm and stuff like that?
Yes, absolutely. So we do recommend, always making sure you're prepared with extra clothing. Make sure you have a vehicle safety kit. And it's really important in the winter to make sure that you have extra blankets, a cell phone, that you can reach somebody and let them know what kind of situation you're in, and making sure that your vehicle is equipped in the best way possible. So again, that comes down to installing winter tires early on in the season so that you can avoid these types of situations in the future.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Heather, for taking some time to talk with me today. And it was great to hear some of these safety tips, and hopefully people can keep them in mind.
Absolutely. Stay safe out there. And thanks so much for asking.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery and Furniture House, downtown Lloydminster.
Our friend Dan Davidson is back with us today on Primetime Local News. Dan, we're talking about the past year, and I know we spoke last year and was hoping that 2021 was going to be a great year for touring and such. How did 2021 turn out for you?
Well, I think we're taking steps in the right direction. So, we had an interesting summer. It was, we're getting back to it a little bit. I had a few small town kind of festivals, and I got to play a couple big crowds like the Calgary Stampede, which was really, really fun. It was such a weird way to reintroduce myself to the live community again. It was all very safe with, vaccination proofs and negative testing and all that stuff at the door. But getting off stage after seeing 4,000 people in a beer gardens kind of made me go like, wow, that felt good. But am I part of the problem? It was a weird, torn kind of a thing because in this business that's our livelihood, so it was nice to be back. But now we're starting to see it a lot more, and venues are participating in the programs that we have to keep everyone safe, and it's starting to come back. So I've done a handful of small shows, and I've been able to build a lot of things in the meantime while that side of the industry kind of is still healing. I've been working on releasing music in Australia, which has been really exciting. I had a top 10 there this year, and doing a lot of creative stuff, been producing lots for other people and doing lots of writing. So it's, keeping the ball rolling.
Well, and I see, speaking of dates that you have booked into the new year, you're going to be heading back to Europe if all works out?
Yeah, I was supposed to be in Spain in October, and that got shuffled around. So, but I'm heading back to France in June, which I'm really excited about. I'm fingers crossed. I'm have a good feeling that that's all going to pan out finally. And then, after that, I'm heading back to Spain in October. So it's really fun. I never really figured that I'd be able to travel the world playing country music, but stumbled into something really cool over there. Sort of becoming part of a growing country music community in Europe.
So how do you promote yourself in Europe, Dan, as compared to how you do it here? Is it much of the same, or is there just a very kind of a niche market over there for country music?
It's quite different, actually. Like a lot of the work I do is in France, and in France, it's all very 90s country, and it's all very line dance based. So I really have to adjust what I do to that community when I go over there. Like my shows are all, there's a lot more traditional country elements worked into it instead of, what works over here, which is more of the pop country kind of side of things. And people, it's a very youthful rock and roll kind of thing here. But over there, it's all line dance based. And then you go to a place like the UK and it's the opposite. There's like as minimal country elements in country as possible. It's the poppiest country you'll find in England. So it's a bit odd out there, and in other places in Europe you find it's a bit of a mix and closer to what we're used to here. So promoting myself, I'm lucky I have a French booking agent over there who's been connecting me with certain people and introducing me to promoters and things like that. So it's an interesting dance, and the language barrier makes it kind of hilarious. I've started taking French lessons over the last year, trying to be a better Canadian.
Well, Dan, you had a couple of very successful collaborations this year as well. As you mentioned, your song in Australia, and then with the Roadhammers as well. Are we going to see some more collaborations coming up?
Yeah, that was kind of a fun experiment this year. I had never really done that before, so I'm keeping my eyes on the horizon because getting to work with the Roadhammers was really fun, and that was such a success for me in Australia. Having a top 10 on my first release song ever down there was a pretty good way to come into that scene. And then I partnered up with a pretty significant artist down there, a girl named Haley Jensen, and we had a really strong release that was doing really well on some of the radio networks. And so it's created a real international story for me. I've been able to work all over the place, and I hope to keep that ball rolling. And I love international collaborations too. That's really fun.
Dan, you've also had some interesting side projects. We have DD and the Butter Lovers, where you've taken some, I guess, more heavier type music and made it country bluegrass. Are we going to see more of that too?
Yeah, well, those kinds of things were just sort of fun for me. Like when there was a bit of downtime and I just needed something interesting to put out to talk about. But the heavy metal one we did, sort of the Megadeth song, was the one that exploded. Like it was on Billboard magazine and Kerrang and Revolver and all these places. So yeah, that was kind of fun. I'm always moving on to the next thing, I find. So I'm definitely looking for more little fun side projects to release. And I've been so busy working on other people's music lately, to tell you the truth. Like as I'm developing my new record, I've just been producing and writing. So I haven't really had too much time to do the silly stuff, but it's always something I enjoy doing.
So Dan, looking ahead to the new year, what can we expect? What can we see coming from your camp heading out into 2022?
Well, I've got a record that I'm about to announce that's coming out that I'll tell you first. It's coming out February 25th. And then beyond that, I'm kind of, I've been working really hard on music that's going to be after this record. My big mission has been to try and not repeat myself, and to try and really push myself to find new creative horizons for what I do, and to keep sort of the creative story going. So it's been a real challenge, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of like creative soul searching, and it's that record that's going to come out probably towards the summer that's been sucking up 90% of my energy right now, and it's really something I'm working hard on. So yeah, I mean that's kind of the two major things that I've got going on. I have this record that kind of puts the period on the sentence of this year that comes out in February, and then beyond that, there's going to be Dan Davidson 2.0.
Well, Dan, thank you so much for speaking with us, and happy holidays to you and your family. And if you just wanted to send a Christmas message, I guess, to your fans, just a hello and thanking them for the year, what would you say to them?
I would just be so thankful to have everybody's support throughout all this craziness, and to be able to keep doing this, and to keep the momentum rolling. With it all comes down to fan support and spreading the word and digging in and really caring and sharing. So I'm eternally grateful for everyone that supported me throughout this last little while.
All right, well, thanks for chatting with us again, Dan, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks so much, Stacey.
Now ending off with another look at your 7-day forecast. Remember, tomorrow will be the coolest day with minus 33, a low of minus 40, so please make sure plugging in your vehicle, staying warm out there, bundling up. Friday will start off with a high chance of some snowfall once again with minus 25. Then Saturday and Sunday we'll see cooler temperatures at minus 25 to minus 28. Then next week, hopefully we will be seeing some warmer temperatures. Hopefully it doesn't switch up on us. Starting off with minus 14 on Monday to start off next week. Then we'll be seeing those single-digit temps on Tuesday and Wednesday at minus 6 and minus 4.
Thanks for that, Shelby, and thank you for joining us for Primetime Local News. Our second hour continues next.